So I was that person growing up who used to spend hours on YouTube and social media in general, always looking for that next dopamine hit and just that feeling of being entertained. I became the person who was always just like refreshing notifications with no focus whatsoever and then extreme guilt after realizing I wasted like tons of hours. The only thing that broke this cycle for me is when I finally built a system, especially when I got on this path of memorizing Quran. It's probably one of the main things that's killing so many people's productivity right now and even desire to do bigger things like with their lives. Even tons of like non-Muslims have came out and said like this is the cigarettes of our generation. This is a thing that when we get to like old age, inshallah, we'll look back and we'll be like, wow, that was a huge detriment to our life. If you're watching this, you're probably around my age and you're probably on path to spend around 20 years of your entire life looking at your phone. And the thing is that is just the years. It's just the time it's eating out of your life. But that's not to count also the way it's changing your brain, the way it's destroying maybe even your desire to want to memorize Quran. And if we're being honest, memorizing Quran is pretty tedious. It's definitely not as entertaining as, seeing tons of colors, every video that you could possibly see in the world just in your pocket. It's not as entertaining as that. So when you get used to that kind of routine, that lifestyle of always just being on your phone, something like memorizing the Quran doesn't even seem like a desire of yours. So it doesn't really seem like something you're attracted to do. Think about how many millions of people across the world are capable of memorizing the Quran, passing all this information to their kids, their family. But the only thing that's stopping them is really that phone. And I'm not even really trying to sound like I'm above anyone here because I spent most of my life like almost addicted to technology, whether it was like on the video game, on the phone or whatever it was. I grew up in the generation where all this stuff emerged and I was just a part of it. But alhamdulillah, once I got on this path of like memorizing, I realized that like there's no way I'd be able to do both memorizing and also keep this kind of like technology addiction. The two can't just coexist. So I essentially created a system where this is way less of a problem, alhamdulillah, than used to be, especially when I was younger. And the first thing I would say to do, if you're actually like serious, if you're not just watching this video just for like entertainment, but you're actually serious, you really have to delete like all of your social medias. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Alhamdulillah, when I was growing up, I was fortunate where I never even had the apps of like Instagram, TikTok, or any of the other like main ones. All I really had was YouTube, but I was still on the app like crazy. So all I had to really do at this point was I just deleted YouTube, at least the app for my phone. To be honest, YouTube, from what I've heard, is like actually one of the better apps. Whereas apps like Instagram, TikTok, those like really kill your brain. Those kill your mood. Those kill like even your iman. I would really get off those apps. And I'm not going to act like I'm a straight robot. Obviously every now and then I'll go on, on Chrome or Safari and I'll type in YouTube and I'll watch something. But it makes it so there's like a barrier where it's not as easy where you just open your phone, you see the YouTube right in front of your face and you just click it unconsciously. And then before you know it, you're scrolling hours. You want to at least put like kind of barriers in your like digital space. On top of this, I also downloaded like app blockers on my laptop and even on my phone. So if I access something like YouTube on my browser, it'll just block it immediately and it won't even let me access it. And the whole purpose of this is so that when you see that thing is blocked, it kind of puts in your mind like why you started this in the first place. You realize like, oh, I blocked this for a reason because I didn't want to waste time. Let me stop doing this. And on top of that, I would say replace the cheap dopamine with deep dopamine, meaning go from scrolling the phone to scrolling Quran. And I know this seems like a really basic, like old head advice to give to someone, but I promise you, once you actually get in the habit of like memorizing Quran, and the way to make it like an actual habit in your life is to really start small, with whatever you can. But once you actually make it like a habit, I promise you'll start preferring the feeling that you get from that than any kind of like video, any kind of, cheap dopamine that you could get, especially if you get on this hip journey where you see yourself, oh, I'm making progress with the Quran. I memorized the 1 juz, 2 juz. Maybe I could complete the entire Quran one day. Like I said earlier, 20 years of most people's life, especially in our generation, is going to end up being on their phone. Imagine if you just dedicated like 10% of those years just to the Quran, you'd probably memorize the entire Quran. And it's not just about the vanity of memorizing the Quran, but imagine the feeling you get. Imagine like you'll be way more proud of yourself when you see, okay, I dedicated my time to something like this instead of just, scrolling my phone for hours a day. And by the way, if you want to copy the exact system that I personally did and actually get in a community with people doing the same thing, feel free to join our school community. Inside there's actually courses on how to do this, as well as if you're on this Quran journey, we have tajweed feedback calls and stuff that we host on the weekends. This isn't just about quitting TikTok or quitting YouTube or Instagram. This is just about actually creating a life where you're chasing more of the deep dopamine than the cheap dopamine. Because all of us, let's be honest, when you're on that deathbed, if we even get the chance and you look back at your life, none of us will remember the videos we watched. None of us will remember the little pictures we scrolled by. You'll just remember the deep things that you did in your life. Again, I'm not saying you got to switch to the trap phone or just go all in crazy, never look at a screen again in your life, but it's really just rewiring your brain, how you like seek pleasure, how you seek dopamine. Because when you actually get serious about this, it's not just that you get your time back, but it bleeds into so many other aspects into your life, from like improved Quran memorization, improved focus, just every area of your life usually gets better when you kind of like kick the screen time. You get more focus in your Quran memorization. You get more peace, more just like focus in every aspect of your life. It could even be like at work or at school, wherever you are. This will just really elevate like the quality of your life. But inshallah, that was a benefit. And again, if you're someone who's also on the journey, if someone who's trying to like memorize Quran, seek productivity, feel free to join our community, because also when you're surrounded by people who are also doing the same thing as you, it's just a matter of time where you also level up at like a much faster rate. But But inshallah, that was a benefit. Assalamu alaikum.